So, how can you stay up to date with digital marketing? Daniel?
This is a really important one because I've struggled with this all the time in that it's just changing so quickly. And if you're not careful, even if you're doing a lot of this stuff all the time, you don't keep your eye on the radar of what's kind of going on around you. So the key for this is you need to create and curate a stream of stuff that you look at regularly.
So, what tools would you recommend for doing that?
I use one, but there's a number of ways of different doing it. Feedly is the tool for me. So Feedly is a newsreader. You basically go into it, search for a topic, and it will find all the best blogs and news websites on that topic, and then you can put them into categories. And so I did one on email marketing. I'd get all the good blogs in, put them in there, and I can scan through it. And it will show me the ones that are trending.
Right.
So it will show me the ones that are particularly lots of people getting attention. I can flag those. I can bookmark them and so on as well. You could do this actually with Twitter lists as well. So in Twitter, really unused bit of functionality is you can put certain accounts into lists, and then I could just scan through and stay up to date with those. But I think you need some way of curating a stream to yourself that makes you just easily scan through it and stay up to date with it.
So one of my favourite resources for this is SparkToro. If you go to sparktoro.com/tools, they've got a really great tool called Trending, which is very similar to Twitter lists, actually. But what they've done within their tool, they're following lots of prominent marketers, and they're looking to see, okay, which tweets are being shared the most amongst marketers. And what's lovely is you can dice it up and look at last week, last month, last quarter. It's actually a really great way of seeing, okay, what are the top 10 things that marketers are talking about or prominent marketers are talking about. And I find that invaluable. Really great way of just topping up, and great way of, I had no idea that was going on. That's really good. Without having to spend all my time on Twitter stressing about it. I just
searching
dip into
stuff
that
out
when I want to. Yeah.
And you had another tip, didn't you, about putting yourself forward for jobs?
This is extreme.
Yeah, this is quite extreme. So
But you did this, right?
I did do it, yeah, for quite a couple of years, actually. So I would put myself forward for a job whether I wanted one or not, just because I found that, first off, going for a job, I've been 12 years in one organisation.
So kind of stuff above where you were at the moment to try and go for something a bit more challenging?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So I've been in one job for 12 years. First job interview, hugely traumatic, completely caught me unawares. Got the job, actually, which was quite good. But then after that, I thought, no, I should do this a bit more regularly, because you never know when something's going to change, or you find yourself out in the cold. So I would regularly put myself, every 6-8 months or so, I put myself forward for a job. It's a great way of keeping your CV up to date.
So preparing for that interview.
And then the actual interview process itself, because actually kind of takes the pressure off it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because actually it doesn't matter whether you get the job or not, because you don't want it. But actually you're putting yourself forward, you're thinking about, okay, what have I been doing? What evidence do I have? And actually that process helps you to stay on top of it all. It's really easy to be in a job for 3 years and not really achieve anything meaningful to any future employers. That's shooting yourself in the foot.
So you could also take that thing and say, instead of actually applying for the jobs, what I could do for myself is if I was going to do this job, how would I prep for this interview? Now, by applying for it does add the pressure. I kind of totally get that as well. But if you looked at that kind of job description and say, have I got these skills? Actually, what would I need to do to upskill those kind of things as well? So I think of putting some pressure on yourself to improve your ongoing learning is really important.
I think it's also really healthy, because actually there are a number of times when I had to go, oh, they're offering me the job. Now what do I do? And now I've got a choice. Yeah, and that's really great for a career, to choose whether you're going to stay or whether you're going to go. And actually, that's really healthy. That's really great. I think all this came out of being in one organisation for too long and getting spat out at the other end. But that was my way. And actually, I found it a really healthy, useful process.
Another thing to do is benchmark your skills against everyone else, so you can see where you sit. So if you go targetinternet.com, go through to the benchmark, you can go in there, and we've benchmarked nearly 10,000 people's skills, and you can see where you sit for your particular interest and focus and so on as well. And then we've got one other bias tip as well, haven't we?
A little bit biased.
So we did the Digital Marketing Podcast, and there are now 300 episodes in there as well, and that's released weekly. Whether it's the Digital Marketing Podcast or other podcasts, I also think it's a nice way of keeping yourself up to date, because you're feeding stuff in, and you can do that while you're doing something else. So find those sources of information and make sure that you're creating a stream of stuff that comes through and just keeps you up to date on autopilot.